This is Joe Sr., my dad. He was born on the 4th of July, 1949, to a poor family in New Orleans. But being poor was the least of his problems. He had a dad who liked to beat his wife, beat his kids in ways that would get you thrown in jail today. When Dad was 7 or 8, he said he found a place under his house where the cinder blocks came together in just the right way that if he tucked himself in, his dad couldn't hit him with rocks. It was a very difficult existence. So he looked for his first escape. Unfortunately for a poor boy from New Orleans, his first escape was to the jungles of Vietnam. Dad entered Nam in February 1968, and war was anything but a graceful experience for him. He saw a lot of killing. He did a lot of killing. And for those of us who haven't been soldiers, we can't quite understand. He did some things when he was there that he can't take back. His first week in Nam, he jumped on a truck with some Marines, and they were heading towards a Vietnamese village. He could see in the distance, amidst the fog, Vietnamese children, emaciated, skinny as can be, covered with dirt from head to toe, walking from their huts towards the roadway. As they approached the children, my dad could see the soldiers pulling out of their pockets what he could identify as their food scraps. When they got to the kids, my dad was horrified when the soldiers began firing the food at the kids as hard as they could. Some of the kids got hit in the head. Most knew it was coming, so they took it off the back. He said there was a little girl who got pelted directly in the eye, and she fell to the ground in a heap. And as she's sitting there screaming and crying on the ground, she's reaching around for what was likely going to be her only meal that day. As they headed out of the village, the soldier next to my dad, a more experienced soldier, could see the disgust in my dad's face, and he said, "You judge me now, but you'll be doing the same thing in a week." Dad had to confess that despite the fact that he was abused as a kid, it didn't take him a week. Things only got much, much uglier from there. Dad left the jungles of Vietnam in February 1969, returned to the States, married my mom a month later. Unbeknownst to her, she had married a very broken man, a man full of hate, anger, rage, grief, shame. You name the negative emotion, he had it. He chose to anesthetize the pain with alcohol. Every day after work, he would head to the local bar, drink till they'd make him leave. How he drove home to this day over the thousands of nights, I have absolutely no clue. But he'd make it home. We'd have to help him in because he could never get his key to the door. We'd walk him to the bed, and he'd repeat the same process the next day. And then in 1985, the best bad thing that ever happened to him happened to him. He was a butcher, and he was attempting to transfer a pork loin box from the cart to the cutting table when he twisted wrong and ruptured 2 discs in his lower back. Surgery soon followed, and it came complete with 6 weeks of bed rest. Now, if you think daytime TV is bad today, trust me, it was even worse in the 1980s. So he got bored. So bored, in fact, that he was willing to pick up a book that a friend had dropped by the day of the surgery. Over his remaining time in bed, Dad would read completely through the New Testament. When it was time for him to get out of bed, he was a different man. Some of the signs were very obvious. He would never drink, never smoke for the rest of his life. But what was more compelling was how he chose to spend his time. Instead of heading to the bars, he would head to the VA Center in downtown New Orleans, where he would counsel veterans who were battling some of the same demons he was battling. Dad never became a perfect person, but he did transform his life by shifting his focus away from him and onto other people. Don't let anybody tell you that we can't change this country, because this country is no more than a collection of human beings, and I'm telling you, I've seen it with my eyes. Human beings are capable of incredible change.